morning, everyone. Happy Saturday. It's time for the Saturday Training Pod again. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about the role that you play during different periods of time in this business. So when you first get started, you are in the role of what I like to call the pointer. Look over here. Are you open? Watch this video. Are you open? Let me have you talk to one of my partners. Are you open to looking at something that will improve your health or your wealth? Take a look at this document. Take a look at this video. Take a look at this website. You're not the message. And if you're getting a lot of no's, it's because you're being too much of the message. Your job is simply to be like the flagger at the airport who has the flags and says, come over here, come over this direction. They can't communicate with the pilot. The pilot can't hear them. The roar of the engine, the closed windows, all they can do is signal. And that is your job in the beginning, not to be the voice, but simply to point in the direction of the expert. That is your job. So whether it's a video and learning to follow up with that person, if you don't know how to follow up, use your upline, use your mentor. And then you're going to connect through a three-way call. If you don't know how to do a three-way call, I'm not going to try and show you today because I'm not sure what phone you have, but usually there's an option to add a call and then it'll pop you into your phone book and then you can pick the second call that you're already on the first call. Add a call, go into the phone book and choose the next number or the next name that you're going to add to the call, and then it'll usually call them. And I usually tell them, look, I have someone on the other line. Hold on just a minute while I merge the calls. And then that same button on my phone turns into a merge call button. It changes from add a call to merge calls. And then it merges the two lines together. I always check and say, is everyone on the line? Or I'll ask them by name. Mary, are you there? Jim, are you there? And we'll make sure that everyone's there. And then as the person who's connecting the call, my job is to introduce these people. So I'm going to edify both of them. I'm going to lift both of them. It's not something that you're going to overdo. Do it genuinely from your heart, but talk about how you know the people and how you respect them, what their strengths are, so that you're lifting them as they get ready to talk to each other. They have some respect for each other because otherwise they don't know each other at all. They just know you. So saying, you know, this is Mary, Jim, my friend. Jim, this is Mary, my friend. We've been friends for 15 years. We've raised our kids together. We've done some business together before. We've always talked about how we want to sit on the beaches of the world together. And I really am looking forward to her hearing about this. Mary, this is Jim. He's my business partner. He's an expert in this company and he can answer your questions. He can fill you in on what we've got our hands on. I'm so excited for you to see this. Jim, take it away. And you're giving the mic over to Jim, and then your job for the rest of the call is to listen. Get your notebook out because at some point you're going to shift roles and then you'll be the speaker. Right now, your job is simply to let Jim be the messenger for a couple of reasons. Number one, your friend is going to listen to Jim in a different way that they're going to listen to you. Number two, you've asked Jim to take his time to come and be the expert. If you're interjecting and piping up and adding things or correcting things, please don't ever correct the speaker. If you're correcting things, it causes Jim to lose his focus and lose his train of thought. And now he's not being the effective speaker that he could be because he's trying to course correct and figure out what you're saying and make sure that he's doing it your way. It's not the time. Let Jim be the expert. Now, at the end of Jim's talking, if there's something that you really wish he would have covered, if you really wish he would have talked about Link a little more because you know that Mary has something going on in her life, it's okay at the end to just say, hey, Jim, do you have 2 more minutes? I would really love it if you'd go a little bit deeper into Link and some of the benefits that can be on the gut, since that's something that Mary's family is dealing with. And then that way it's simply a question. If there's any addition from you at the end, it should be in the form of a question leading to whatever it is that you need. Would you mind explaining this? Would you mind going deeper into this? Would you mind clarifying this? is different than piping up in the middle and interrupting. So make sure that you never throw off the speaker's train of thought. That includes big auditorium meetings as well. It's funny to hear the person heckling or even shouting out words of encouragement from the audience, but it can blow the person who's speaking's train of thought. And you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that, whether it's clapping loudly or yelling out in the middle, or, you just, and I know most of you would never do that, but we've been in auditoriums where that's happened. So this is the time for me to address that. When we're in large auditoriums, same thing. You need to be attentive, have your notebook out. When there's somebody speaking, your job is to glean knowledge from them. Glean something that you can then use when you are in their shoes. Sometimes you're going to learn even what not to do. Most people are teaching you what to do, but every now and then you're going to see something that you're like, I don't think I'll ever do that. And just make a note of it, and you'll be stronger as you learn that. I'm going to avoid this phrase, or I'm going to avoid this situation. Just to give you an example of that, we had a panel at an event that I was at one time, and a young woman had thought that she would wear a cute little skirt, and she was excited to be on the panel the first time. And she looked like, she felt like she looked like $1 million. Well, the reality was she couldn't get up on the stool. So the reality really bit her hard. She was a panelist. She was supposed to be sitting on a stool with the other speakers. She ended up having to stand on the end because it was very inappropriate for her to sit on that stool. I don't mean to go sideways here, and I don't mean to go down an inappropriate path. My point is, think about the situation that you're going to be in, dress appropriately if you're the speaker. We'll talk about that in just a minute. We're talking about audience members right now. But the reality is, if you're in the audience, you're taking notes on what to do so that when you become the speaker, you're ready. So writing down the key phrases, writing down the things that you think, oh, that's really good, or I love that point. Those are the things you need to be writing down, because if you'll then talk from those points that have touched your heart, you're going to be a really effective speaker rather than just regurgitating from top to bottom somebody else's presentation. If you can take from this person and from this person and this book and this Zoom and all of these things that you've learned that are just amazing and get you excited, then when you're the presenter, you're going to be a really, really strong presenter. Okay, let's shift gears a little bit. If you are the presenter, your job is to present to the best of your ability. You hold in your hands the responsibility of talking to this person's friend or relative, somebody that they love and trust, and they are entrusting you to be the best message that you can be. Now, that being said, almost every presenter is bad before they get good, and they're good before they get great. So you just have to start somewhere, but understand that if you get done and you feel like you've just completely gone sideways, it's okay to tell the guest, I've given you everything that I know, but I am still very new at this as well. If you've got additional questions, we can put you with the corporate CEO. We can put you with the COO. She's amazing too. We've got upline leadership that can answer your questions even better than I can. So please, if you don't have enough to make a decision, don't make a decision until we get you more information. Do you need to talk to someone else? It's okay. It's okay. If we're growing that fast and we're a young company, it's okay if you're the expert and you don't know all the answers. I still have days that I have to play that card. I'm sorry, I just don't know on that, but we can ask David Brown. We can ask one of the doctors on the advisory board. Let me get you some answers. And sometimes I'll put them on the Zoom or a phone call with that person, and sometimes I'll just get the answer and follow back up with them. But your job is to just do your best, be genuine, give it your best, talk from your heart, and be passionate about it. Because at the end of the day, the person who has the biggest belief in the room will carry the conversation. You don't have to know everything. We have been to the top of multiple companies and I couldn't tell you the ingredients in the main products. I don't think they're relevant. I think the science is amazing, and if I put it in my mouth, I feel good. And I don't get hung up on the ingredient list, but there's still times that people will ask me and I'll say, I don't know, but I can show you where to find out. And it's okay to not have all the answers. It's so important, though, that you are giving it your best. When you are on a large stage, or really when you're on any stage, your job is to teach or to motivate or to inspire or to dream with your people that you're talking to. Your job is not to just entertain them and pass the time. We've seen speakers get on the large stage and they're given a 10-minute time, and 8 minutes of it is just an irrelevant, funny video, and it makes the audience laugh. And then they say some things and they sit down, and people have spent sometimes thousands of dollars to be at the event. They're losing work money, they are spending travel money, they're spending money at the hotels and the food that they eat while they're gone. Some of them have had to pay for babysitters or dog sitters, someone to make sure that the water is taken care of in their yard. There's a lot of different things and responsibilities that go into people being away and being at that conference. So if you're on the stage, make sure if you have 5 minutes or you have 10 minutes, that you are packing the most value that you can into that time, because we want to give the people what they've come for. We want to be able to touch them and be able to help them gain a knowledge or a nugget that will take them to the next level, something that's going to help them be more successful. Also understand that this is a process, and you're not necessarily talking to the whole of the group. You are, because they're all hearing you, but you might be there for one person in the audience that needed to hear exactly what you said. And it's not about you. That's a major thing to remember when you're on the stage. It's not about you. It's about that one person or those 3 people in the audience that their lives will be forever changed because they listened to you. It's about their families. It's about their life, their future, and what you can give them. If you are truly a servant leader, you take your eyes off yourself and you give to the people that you are helping, and you lift them. Okay. I think I'm going to keep it kind of short today. I think that covers, well, I want to talk just a little bit more about going from being the listener. I kind of skipped a step to going to the main speaker on the main stage. In between, you'll reach a point where you start being the presenter. When you're sitting in the seat and you're watching somebody present at a home meeting or on a Zoom, and you're like, oh, I know that, I know that, I know that. And you're just biting your tongue and you're antsy to speak and you're wanting to do it. It's time. It's time for you to become the presenter. And like I said, you might fall over on the first 1 or 2, and you might crash and burn on a couple. We've all done it. We've all done it. But you start presenting, and that's when your business will really take off. When you take ownership of it, because ultimately this is your business, you are the business owner of your business. When you take ownership of it and you start presenting, that's when things get really exciting. So if you're coming to Utah, we're going to be talking about the Executive Board Club. It's something that Eric and I have done. It's unique in the industry, and there's psychology behind why it works, but it takes people to the top of the company. So if you're coming, we're planning on sitting down with you and showing you this program, and we will be laying it out and having that be part of our conversation over the next coming months. But the Executive Board Club is just simply people that are stepping into that role, that are becoming the presenter. And when you do that and you do behaviors consistently over a period of time, the results follow. It's not a case of if it'll work for you. It's a case of how long it'll take. Some people it might take 3 months. Some people it might take 6 months to do the same result. It's okay. If you're doing the right behaviors, you're going to get the right results. So we're excited to talk to you about that, but it's simply doing presentations on a regular basis, at least 15 or more a month, and working up to the point where those are group presentations, because the magic number is when you can be doing 15 presentations with 5 or more guests in attendance. Your rank will grow month after month after month. Your team will grow. Your check will be increasing every month. The momentum and excitement will be contagious, and your people will want to do what you're doing. And then we go do fun things. We reward the proper behaviors, not the rank that you get, not the check that you're getting, but simply doing the behaviors. And anybody, I mean, anybody can do the behaviors, right? If you're not stuck on who's getting better results or whose team is growing faster or whose rank is higher, if you're just simply doing the behaviors and you get to be included in the fun that we do, we go do fun things all over the world. You're going to want to be part of this. So it's just a really fun thing to get lockstep with other leaders that are doing the same behaviors and showing the presentation and showing the presentation and showing the presentation. It can be done by Zoom, it can be done in person, can be done on group calls, conference calls. Freeconferencecall.com will allow bigger conference calls. It's too big for a three-way call. Free conference call is free. So you can set up a conference line and people can call into it. Zoom is free. And there are lots of ways that you can do those group presentations. But when you get that kind of momentum going, the results follow. So in that case, then you want to be pulling out all your notes, make sure as the presenter you're covering your story just briefly so they can relate with you. And don't just tell your story because you're showing your resume or I've done all these great things. You want to talk to them and show them how you can relate. Now, maybe you've done great things, but talking to them from the point of, we were here, this is what we did, now this is what we have, is a different story than just, look at me, this is what I have, right? So you want to relate with them that I was here and I did these things and life changed. You are here, we're going to show you these things and your life can change, and have that connection with them. And we're talking a little bit about the company, which includes the products, includes the people running the company, includes the timing and the trends and all the things that are the company. And then how the compensation is paid, because people want to know, what do I have to do? What's in it for me? And at the end of the day, they need to go home knowing what they can do and what they can get for it. It's not just about us telling a big presentation on the science and wowing them with superoxide dismutase and oxidative stress and tetrahydrocurcumin and our big words. No, we want to relate with them where they're at. In fact, some presentations, I entirely leave those words out because I know it's just going to confuse the people. If it's too much for them, they don't need to know that. I'm going to break it down into levels that I think that they can understand a little better, because at the end of the day, my job isn't to impress them. My job is to educate them. So if I can talk to them about the aches and the pains that they may feel, and that is inflammation, and that if we can lower the inflammation in the body, we might be able to help those aches and pains be able to go away naturally. And if they've got a virus that they've dealt with in the past, they've got some inflammation left on the inside. If they're over the age of 20, I could talk to them about how their body is changing. It's a conversation that's not normally had. We had it when they turned 13 and their body started to change. But at 20 or 30 or 40, people don't understand a lot of times why all of a sudden they're getting these diseases. And so to be able to break it down into terms that they can understand of, here's the cell and there's some oxidative stress, that's just left over from breathing and eating. We can't avoid it. We all have it. And as we get older, we don't have the enzymes in our body to fight it. So if we don't keep it at bay, it's going to turn into disease. Either it already has for them or it will. And teaching them how it can turn it around is better than wowing them with oxidative stress and big terms. So use your judgment when you're the presenter. You're going to know when it's the right time to use the big words, because you've got a scientist in the room, you've got an analytical person in the room that needs to hear them, or you're going to be able to say them and then take the time to explain them. And that comes with being an expert and understanding, that tetrahydrocurcumin is the word for it. And if you can say it without it being the message, and that the message is that it's coming from turmeric, which you're all familiar with. It's one of the best ways to lower inflammation, but it's a large molecule, can't be absorbed. So we've broken it down to this smaller molecule so that your body can absorb it and use it. If you can explain it, use the big words, but don't use the big words just because now you're the presenter and you want to throw them around. The point is to educate the people and give them something they can go home understanding. Okay, so a lot of information. Again, in the beginning, pointer. At some point, you're going to become the presenter, and eventually you might end up on the big stage. all of it has purpose and all of it is slightly different skill sets, and you're going to grow into it. Don't let the end scare you away from doing the beginning. You may never get to the big stage. You may just be one that points for a while and then presents to a few people that you're close to, and you're happy with an $800 check. That's totally fine. But if you're saying that you want to make a $10,000 check a month, then you're going to need to step into that presenter role and do enough presentations in a short enough period of time so you get that momentum. And then at some point you might be asked to be the expert on the stage. Thanks for taking some time with us. Enjoy your Saturday. Happy holiday weekend. Happy 4th of July. I love this holiday because it's all about freedom, and that's what we do here at Actives. We show people a vehicle that can help them buy their freedom. Thanks, everybody. Have a great, great day.